Hey, mamas. I'm so excited to have Amy Lowe back on the show today because she is going to talk about a really important topic, and that is how we create and have safe, vulnerable conversations with our kids, especially as they get older, because we know the little ones, they love to share. I mean, they're kind of an open book, right? But as kids get older, that book tends to shut just a little bit. So how do we keep it open so we have those really honest chats about what's going on in their lives, what's going on in their minds, what are they struggling with? So Amy's going to give us some tactics. She's going to talk about creative questions, give us examples of creative questions, and then the 3 words to say to get our kids to open up even if they don't want to. Amy is a mom to 2 kids, and she is also the director of Winshape camps for kids and families. So if you're starting to think about what are my kids going to do during the summer? What are we going to do as a family during the summer? Winshape camps might be a great option for you. So Amy's going to talk about what is it, what is their mission, and how you can sign up if you find that it is a great fit for you and your family. All right, my lovely mamas, so let's go ahead and get started. It is my pleasure to welcome back Amy Lowe. Love that. So let's move on to creating safe, vulnerable conversations with kids. I think we always want and need to know what's going on with our kids, right? And I think with those young ones, it's a lot easier because they're an open book. They love to share, which I love. And as they grow older, I think that book kind of tends to close a little bit, which I don't think is entirely bad. I mean, they're learning to be independent and all of that. They need that. But we still want to create those spaces to have those conversations so that kids can open up and look to us for help and we can guide them accordingly. So what's your best advice on creating that safe space where kids can be vulnerable with you?
I think of 2 things, Hannah, in this space. Number one, I think getting them one-on-one has been key for us in our house. Again, we have 2 kids who have a love-hate relationship with each other. You know, a lot of times they love each other, but then a lot of times they just drive each other crazy, and you cannot have a conversation with both of them because they're going to just grate on each other.
Yes.
So for us, just finding that, again, the regular rhythms of one-on-one time. For my husband, on most Saturday mornings, Matt and Jack do fish and waffles. That's what they call it, fish and waffles. And they go to Waffle House. I think they go fishing first.
Okay. So they don't eat it together.
Right. They go fishing first, and then they go to Waffle House, and they call it fish and waffle. And Matt gets up with him before the sun comes up. It's a Saturday, Hannah. I don't understand.
Wow.
My husband is a wonderful father, but he knows that time is fleeting, and that pretty soon Jack's not going to want to wake up at 6:00 in the morning and do fish and waffles with his dad. But while he does, you better believe they're going to get up and go to fish and go to Waffle House. And they have such great conversations because Jack just knows I'm going to get this time with my dad, and when you're fishing, you're just sitting there. You're just sitting there with the fish, waiting for it to bite. In the outside, I think getting them outside is always is a key. So for me and my son, we go to the Flying Biscuit for breakfast. Maybe you're hearing this as a breakfast theme for us, but we go to the Flying Biscuit for breakfast on Sunday mornings before church, me and Jack. And so he just knows that's a regular time that he's going to get with me. We look forward to it. And so I think just finding those regular times where it's like on this day, on this night, I know that I'm going to have one-on-one time with a child, and give them it just gives them, they know that this happens, and they know that mom's going to ask me questions or dad's going to ask me questions, and then I'm going to be able to talk, and then they open up. So that's number one, finding that one-on-one time whenever get creative. And then I just think questions are key. Because you're right, Hannah. You can't just keep using the same question, how was your day? They're not going to tell you. You've got to get creative. And so I grab on to, there's so many great questions out there, and people giving us great questions to ask, and, table topic cards you can buy. We give out question cards on a little key ring at the end of every camp session for us on Fridays when
Mm,
they leave. And again, and I keep some in, I always have some in my purse. They're all over the place in this house. I always grab them and keep them because again, I just think you got to be creative with these kids because
mhm.
the eye rolling happens and they don't want to talk. So I think just getting creative. So like the other day, I really wanted to talk about kindness and because I want my kids to be kind when they leave the nest. But I can't just say, let's talk about kindness, Claire, and let's
Yeah.
learn how we can be kind. But you just got to go at it with a question. And so one question could be, was anyone kind to you at school today? And if
Mhm,
so, tell me about it. How were they kind to you? How did it make you feel? Or,
mhm.
and then also after you talk about that, then you can flip it and say, okay, well, were you kind to anybody at school today? Or if not, who could you maybe have been kind to that would
Mhm.
really make a difference? Because we just talked about how good it made you feel whenever someone was kind to you. So anyway, just
Yeah.
going at it with a question and then okay, now that topic is on the table and you can talk about it more. But
Mhm.
I love using questions because you never know what they're going to say, and if you get creative with your questions, they'll sit up and hopefully you can start that conversation. So one-on-one time and creative questions.
Yeah, the creative questions I think is so key. And I think also key is being very specific. So you're kind at school, you're focusing their mind on a specific time, a
Yes.
specific place, a specific action. One thing I do with my little ones is my really little, even my 3-year-old, it's not, how was your day? It was, who did you sit next to at lunch today? Or, what toy did you play with after you woke up from your nap? So getting them to really hone in because kids, especially the young ones, have no sense of time. Absolutely no sense. So you gotta tie it to some activity or some event or
Yeah.
something to that effect. I love the creative questions. Can you give us a few more that would help our kids, especially the older ones, open up when they kind of really don't want to, especially if you're feeling like, there's something bothering them and I want to know about it, but I don't
Mhm.
want to poke them
Mhm.
too much.
Yes. I think that anytime you can ask, it's so funny. I did an online class a while back that talking about negotiation, which was
Mhm.
funny. But I mean, we probably need that with our kids as they get older.
Oh, yeah.
But one of the things they said is just tell me more.
Mhm.
And what was funny, Hannah, is that they said basically they'll tell you something and then you reframe it as a question back to them. So you don't have to think
Mm.
about anything. They tell you something and then you kind of twist it to be a question. Like, um, let's think of an example. We can maybe try it. So, um, oh, Mom, there's a bug on the floor. There's a bug on the floor? Yeah. Well, it's right here, Mom. Like there's a bug on the floor. And then you just keep like talking
Mm.
and reframing it and asking questions. And then if you just turn it to a question, they will
Yeah.
talk back to you. And then you turn it again to a question and they will talk back to you. So you don't even have to
Mm.
have anything up your sleeve. It's just anything that they talk about, you can flip it and then they'll
Yeah.
tell you more, you know? So
Yeah.
that's one idea.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense though, because if you even take what they say and throw it back to them with the question, like just raise your voice at the end, it
Yes.
does kind of create that sense of for the other person, like, oh, yes, they want to know more. Yeah, I should tell them more, like describe it more.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah, as simple as that. I love
Yes.
that. Yeah. All right. Well, Amy, this has been so wonderful. I do want to take a moment to talk about Winshape camps because I think that's such a great, important mission and thing that you're offering to families. So, tell us more. What is the Winshape camp mission?
We we create camp to really just share Jesus with kids. Our mission statement is to glorify God by creating experiences that transform campers and families with the message of Jesus. And we really just want to create those experiences for kids. So many kids, we want their faith to be their own and going
Mhm.
to camp, whether it be a day camp we have day camps all across the country, that are super fun for elementary kids. And then we have overnight camps for all ages. And it doesn't have to be Winshape camps, Hannah. I know that maybe people go to send their kids to camp other places, but I never grew up going to camp. But I see the effect that camp has on my kids. I see the effect that camp has on kids that come to Winshape, and their moms talk to us after they leave. And some of the things I hear is, my kid left more confident. My kid is the best version of themselves when I pick them up on Friday, because they've been in a location where people are cheering them on, showing them Jesus. They don't have their phones, and they're outside in nature. I mean, there's just like win, 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 win when it comes to camp. And you get them in this, safe place where they feel loved and they have fun, and they just grow so much in that time. So I'm a big believer in finding a camp that is like-minded to you, that points to Jesus, and send your kids there. It's worth the investment. And then also, Hannah, you know what? While those kids are at camp, you have a week where you can, go to the beach or go on a trip with your spouse, or just
Yeah.
sit at home and clean out the house and sleep in, So it's a win-win-win all the way across the board, in my opinion, when it comes to camp. So
Yes.
if it's Winshape, we'd love to have you. But also, if there's another camp that's a better fit for you, go do it.
Yes. Winning all around.
Yeah.
So Winshape camps, I have to ask a clarifying question. Is when you talk about camps, usually we think summer camps, like summer is the time to do that.
Yeah.
Yes. Is it catered to summer camps?
Yes.
Like the summertime? Okay.
For the most part, yes, Hannah. It's all summer long. We'll be in all different kinds of places. You can go to winshapecamps.org, winshapecamps.org, and you can see our day camps aren't on the website yet. They pop up around the spring, but our overnight camps are there, ready to go. You can sign up for them from first grade all the way up to 11th grade. And but it is mostly summer. We do some weekend events. We're starting to do mother, daughter, father, son, which is really fun, and things like that. Family weekends and things like that. And again, we're not the only ones that do that. There's so many camps across the country that have mother, daughter, father, son, family weekends. Go find a time that works for you. But yes, most of what we do is in the summertime.
Okay. That's great. Going back to feeling isolated, I think those mother-daughter camp events are a fantastic way to break some of that isolation and create meaningful connections. Even if the mom you meet is halfway across the country, that with technology these days, I mean, that doesn't really matter that much. So
that's right. Yep. Or you could just meet back there every year. Go every, same time every year, go back. And for our campers, that's what they do. I mean, they go the same week every year, and they see the same people every year. And then it grows from there. So for kids and for us as parents.
Awesome. All right, mamas, if you'd like more information on Winshape camps, you can go to camps.winshape.org. There's also a link in the show notes. Thanks so much for hanging with me today, Mama, and I'll catch you again next time for a cup of coffee with a side of faith, wisdom, and hope.